What's up, Canuck fans? Welcome to the Nucks Report, a proud presentation of DraftKings Sportsbook, as well as a proud member of the Hockey Podcast Network. Be sure to check out the network for your favorite podcast covering your favorite team at thehockeypodcastnetwork.com, the home of hockey podcasts, every team, everywhere. It is Monday, January 12th, 2026. This is episode 5 of the Nucks Report. So we've been doing this for about 5 weeks now. And hey, you guys seem to be enjoying them. And honestly, I enjoy doing them myself. This week we've got not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 topics to go over in this Nucks Report. Usually we only do 3 topics, but this week we're doing 4. So let's not waste any time and get right into it. Our first topic is, of course, the unfortunate news, or the not very surprising news, depending on who you ask, is that Thatcher Demko is injured again. Another lower body injury. He was removed from the game on Saturday after the first period. He let in 3 goals on 6 shots. I actually went and looked, as unfortunately, I do have Thatcher Demko in my fantasy league. Actually, a couple of them. But in one in particular, the goalie categories that I get points in are wins, saves, shots against, and shutouts. Those are the categories that I actually get points in. So you can imagine I did horrible with Demko on Saturday. In fact, looking at it, I only got 2 points with Demko. And that's because he only had 3 saves to those 6 shots. So yeah, not good for Demko, but let's go ahead and take a look at the article as well as a tweet from Thomas Drance announcing the news on social media shortly after the game ended. And actually, we even heard from Adam Foote himself, basically confirmed that Demko was not yanked, but he left due to an injury. Here we go again. When speaking to the media following the team's 5-0 loss to the Toronto Maple Leafs, Vancouver Canucks head coach Adam Foote revealed that Thatcher Demko had been removed from the game after the first period due to a lower body injury. While Foote didn't reveal any details about how Demko was hurt, he noted that the former Vezina finalist will be reevaluated over the next few days. There you see Thomas Drance's tweet, basically reiterating the same thing. Demko had given up 3 goals on 6 shots in the first period of Saturday night's loss to the Leafs, marking the 6th consecutive appearance where he had given up at least 3 goals in a game. Kevin Lankinen finished the game allowing 2 goals on 18 shots. While there's no definitive timeline for Demko's return, his status for the remainder of Vancouver's Eastern Conference swing remains in question. The Canucks are tasked with facing the Montreal Canadiens and Ottawa Senators on Monday and Tuesday, before finishing their 6-game road trip next Thursday in a clash with the Columbus Blue Jackets. Another ailment means more absence from Demko. He's already been on the shelf for 14 games this season due to various injuries, including a lower body injury that led to him being placed on injured reserve back in November. This comes after an injury-riddled 24-25 campaign where the San Diego, California native missed 44 games. The number of injuries Demko has suffered over his career has really derailed any momentum he ever creates. Once considered the next big goaltending star in the NHL, the former Boston College star hasn't been able to meet expectations outside of an impressive 23-24 season, where he helped the Canucks capture the Pacific Division title. Man, those days seem like a lifetime ago. This season, Demko is 8-10-1 in 20 starts, posting a 2.90 goals against average and a .895 save percentage with just 1 shutout. Now, the second part of this is the fact that Thatcher Demko, and actually yesterday morning, shortly after I finished my interview with Rick Dhaliwal, which, by the way, if you guys haven't checked out, go ahead and give it a watch. I had a great time talking with Dolly, friend of the podcast, by the way, and actually Patrick Allvin. Yeah, I believe it was shortly after I wrapped up my interview with Dolly, and actually Dolly had to run, so we had to cut the interview short. As you know, Dolly is a very busy man, even though, it was a Sunday morning. He's still getting calls every single day, news and having to deal with stuff. That's Dolly. So he had to run, and perhaps maybe this is what he got a text message about. Who knows? We shall see. But it could also have been something else too. But anyway, Thatcher Demko, the news that came out was that he was placed on IR. So it says here, not the best update for one of the Vancouver Canucks' more valuable assets. On Sunday, General Manager Patrick Allvin announced that goaltender Thatcher Demko has been placed on injured reserve, retroactive to January 10th, so the previous night. The placement is retroactive to Saturday, January 10th, when Demko suffered a lower body injury during the team's 5-0 loss to the Maple Leafs. He did not lead his teammates out for the second period. There was no update from the team, which would indicate Demko was pulled from the contest after allowing 3 goals and 6 shots. But when head coach Adam Foote was asked about the matter post-game by Thomas Drance, he revealed it was injury-related and that he would be reevaluated in a few days. And actually, I saw Dolly would tweet out later in the afternoon that Demko has actually flown back to Vancouver to be evaluated. So he has left the team and is no longer on the trip. So he has gone back to Vancouver to get his injury looked at. With Demko on injured reserve, he will be out for the rest of the Canucks' road trip through the Eastern Conference, to which they will face the Montreal Canadiens, Ottawa Senators, and Columbus Blue Jackets. Vancouver has lost each of their first 3 games on this road trip and have yet to win in 2026, might I add. Also, viewer of the podcast, Just Incredible, actually mentioned that the Canucks have yet to have a lead so far here in 2026. So there's a little stat for you. Thank you for that, Justin. The 30-year-old netminer won't be eligible to return to the lineup until January 17th, when the Canucks return home to host division rival Connor McDavid and the Edmonton Oilers. Demko won't be able to play until January 17th when the Canucks return home. But this is Demko we're talking about. We've heard this same song and dance before. They've said he'll be out until this time, and he ends up being out longer. We saw it earlier this season. We also don't even know what the injury is, other than it's a lower body, which, you're like, oh, great. Lower body. Immediately, people are probably going, is it the knee? Is it the groin, which he's injured already this season? Maybe it's a completely new injury that he's dealing with. Now, with Demko moving to the IR, that actually leads us right into our second topic, which is, of course, some roster moves from the Canucks. But before I get into the other roster moves, because there was one other roster move that doesn't pertain to Demko. With Demko out of action, Vancouver called up Nikita Tolopilo from its AHL affiliate, the Avalanche Canucks, who will serve as the backup to Kevin Lankinen. The Finnish backstop came in relief on Saturday night, giving up 2 goals on 18 shots across the final 2 periods. It's been a tough 25-26 for Lankinen after playing fairly well last year. The 30-year-old is just 6-11-4 in 22 games thus far, with a 3.49 goals against and a .883 save percentage. Along with another injury being added to his resume, Demko joins a laundry list of players out of action for the Canucks. Centers Marco Rossi, Teddy Bluger, and Filipino are all on injured reserve, while defenseman Derek Forbort is on LTIR. Additionally, forward Connor Garland hasn't played since being slew-footed by the Philadelphia Flyers on December 30th. Following Saturday night's results, the Canucks remain 32nd in the NHL standings, tied with the Jets with 30. I believe that they're no longer tied because the Jets won last night. So the Jets are actually above the Canucks. So the Canucks are alone down at the bottom of the standings. Another injury to Demko won't help them move up the standings. but it should only help their odds at securing a high draft pick in June. Now, we mentioned roster moves. So other than Tolopilo, DPD was sent down to Abbotsford, which is a little surprising considering DPD has spent most of the season with the Vancouver Canucks. Correct me if I'm wrong, I believe he made it out of camp with the Vancouver Canucks. I could be wrong on that, but let me know in the comments down below. DPD has been sent down, and Victor Mancini has been called up. I find this interesting that DPD was sent down because if you were watching the game on Saturday, you'll probably notice that during a point in the game, the camera went to the bench, had a shot on the bench, and you see DPD in conversation with Brett McLean, one of the assistant coaches. And it seemed like DPD was being a little combative with McLean. McLean was trying to explain something to him, and DPD was arguing about something. Or, he kept on taking his mouth guard out. So it seemed like he was being a little combative. Or he wasn't really listening to McLean. And then a day later, he gets sent down to the AHL, and Victor Mancini gets called up in his place. So I found that to be quite interesting. I know DPD hasn't been the same DPD that he was last season. And actually, out of the young defensemen, I do believe Tom Wielander has been, the best out of the young defensemen. And I know how good Bouillon is, but he's still relatively new to the team. He hasn't been around long, but out of, DPD, Wielander, I think Wielander has excelled when DPD has not. So that's just my personal opinion and from what I've seen myself. But Victor Mancini, I think this is great for Mancini that he's being called up. He's spent a lot of time down in the AHL so far this season. He was up with the Canucks for a little bit at the start of the season before being sent down. And he's been down in Abbotsford ever since. I've always been a big fan of Mancini. And that's probably one of the only things I actually liked about the JT Miller trade is the fact that we got Vittorio Mancini. And I really hope he gets a chance to shine. I know, and we'll get into this more when we talk about our fourth topic and Patrick Allvin and Jim Rutherford. But I really hope he gets a chance to shine, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing Victor Mancini in the lineup and seeing how he, having played in Abbotsford for a good chunk of the season, how he's going to adapt to coming back to the NHL. Very much looking forward to seeing that. Now, before we go any further, let's do our mid-show sponsor read as I thank my main and primary sponsor, none other than DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the NHL. Never experienced the jaw-dropping moments that make hockey? Well, you can experience them all with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. Missouri listeners, listen up. DraftKings Sportsbook is now live in the Show Me State. New customers, this one's for you. Bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN, that's code THPN, to turn $5 into $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY, which is 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-78-9777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. Pass-through per wager may apply in Illinois. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. This is a limited time offer. Copyright NHL 2025, all rights reserved. Whoop. Secondary sponsor. Sorry. My secondary sponsor, none other than Gassy Jack Art, maker of this amazing artwork you see right in front of you. And you guys can check them out at GassyJackArt.com. All right, let's get back to it. We're going to be diving into our third topic. And I'm probably going to keep this one a little bit short. But here, where are we at? Oh, we didn't actually even finish the second topic. So we'll quickly do that. The Vancouver Canucks announced a trio of roster moves early Sunday morning. GM Patrick Allvin announced that defenseman Elias Pettersson has been assigned to AHL Abbotsford. In the same move, the club recalled defenseman Victor Mancini and goaltender Nikita Tolopilo. Pettersson, 21, has appeared in 38 games this season, scoring 1 goal and 5 assists for 6 points. After a strong 28-game stint last season, Pettersson has not replicated the same level of defensive structure and physical game from last season. He has a -4 rating, 12 penalty minutes, and 64 hits in 13 minutes and 40 seconds of average ice time. The news comes after the Canucks' 5-0 loss to the Toronto Maple Leafs on Hockey Night in Canada, when cameras panned to assistant coach, Kevin Dean, so I guess it wasn't Brett McLean, who was going over a play with Pettersson on the bench. The young defenseman made a puck-watching mistake that led to the Leafs' second goal. Max Domi's. Of the first period, he had 10 shifts through the first 2 periods and nearly matched that once the game was out of reach for the third period with 8 shifts. Mancini, 23, started the year in the NHL, but after a 6-game stint in October and an injury, was sent down to Abbotsford. He has appeared in 20 AHL games where he has 1 goal and 5 assists for 6 points with a -4 rating. Last night in Abbotsford, Mancini nabbed a secondary assist on an early second period Cooper Walker goal, finishing with a +1 rating, 2 penalty minutes, and 1 shot on goal. He will compete with P.O. Joseph for the 6th and final roster spot on the blue line. Tolopilo, 25, has played well in the NHL already this season. He started games against the Anaheim Ducks, San Jose Sharks, and Minnesota Wild, finishing with a 2-1 record and a 2.74 goals against and a .911 save percentage. Since that stint, Tolopilo has appeared in 4 games for Abbotsford, where he has a 2-1-2 record, a 3.15 goals against, and a .872 save percentage. These numbers are heavily inflated after his last performance against the Bakersfield Condors, where he allowed 5 goals on 18 shots. After Demko left Saturday night's contest against the Leafs, Tolopilo will back up Kevin Lankinen for the time being. There's still no further update on the Demko injury. Tolopilo will assume backup duties until then. Now, let's get into our third topic. And we're going to be talking about Jesperi Kotkaniemi. I know. And whether or not the Canucks should just give in and acquire him. I mean, he's 25 years old. He fits within their age range and what the Canucks are looking for, but he's got 6 points in 25 games, 1 point in his last 11 games. And that 1 point was an assist on December 20th. His last goal, November 8th. He has not scored a goal in over 2 months. That's 13 games. Although he has been a healthy scratch the last 4 games. And matter of fact, he's been a healthy scratch a lot this season. At least I think he's been a healthy scratch. It's Carolina Hurricanes. I don't cover the Hurricanes, so I don't pay too much attention. But I noticed he wasn't playing a whole lot. So when it comes to Kotkaniemi, it's no bueno for me. I do not want this guy at all. And to think this guy was a former 3rd overall pick back in 2018, he's essentially Carolina's Petey, maybe worse. But let's go over an article that talks about actually why the Canucks shouldn't trade for Jesperi Kotkaniemi. So it's kind of going to back up, why I don't want them to get him. And actually, this article was written by Tyson Cole from Canucks Army, who I actually ran into at the watch party on Saturday. It appears that a former Vancouver Canucks target is being made available for trade. According to Sportsnet's Elliot Friedman, the Carolina Hurricanes and Jesperi Kotkaniemi are both looking for a fresh start. So Kotkaniemi did not make the Finnish Olympic team, and we kind of talked about how surprising it is that he really wasn't on the radar. I think anybody would understand that it was a really painful moment for him. Very, very disappointing. Just in making some calls on Thursday, I started hearing Kotkaniemi's name a bit. I think what's happening is in the aftermath of him not making the Finnish team, there's an understanding around the league that he needs a fresh start, and the Hurricanes are considering it. I think they have some offers coming their way. Kotkaniemi has been in some offers. The Hurricanes offered him to LA for Philip Danault. Canucks decided not to do that. Smart on their part. They offered him to Vancouver in the Quinn Hughes package. It sounded like their package involved Kotkaniemi and Nikhajian. But in Vancouver, we've done this song and dance before with Kotkaniemi. He has been linked to the Canucks for a while, whether in a potential Elias Pettersson trade, a Quinn Hughes trade, or simply as a regular target. However, it didn't make sense then when the Canucks were still trying to compete, and it would make even less sense now when they're headed towards a rebuild. Kotkaniemi, 25, has only appeared in 25 of the Hurricanes' 44 games this season, often serving as a healthy scratch. So there you go. Finnish centerman has just 2 goals and 6 points with a -2 rating in just 11 minutes and 8 seconds of average ice time. He's not trusted to play in every game. When he does get in, he's only getting 4th-line minutes. Wow. Okay, I didn't realize it was that bad. Sorry, guys, I got something in my eye. Not only is the 2018 third overall pick not producing offensively or defensively, he's dead last in Corsi percentage, shot share, expected goals percentage, scoring chances, and high danger scoring chances for percentage of all Hurricane forwards at 5-on-5, but he's got an ugly contract that comes with that baggage. Yeah, we haven't even talked about his contract. After hitting restricted free agency as a member of the Montreal Canadiens, Kotkaniemi signed an expensive offer sheet with the Hurricanes as a payback move after the Sebastian Aho offer sheet a few summers earlier. Hurricanes signed Kotkaniemi to a 1-year, $6.1 million deal contract, a deal the Canadiens had no choice but to accept compensation for. In turn, the Hurricanes might now regret this decision, as with a high AAV as an RFA, Kotkaniemi's qualifying offer would have been high. As a result, the Hurricanes' hands were tied as they had to meet the player's higher ask, which came to an 8-year, $4.82 million AAV contract. During his time in Carolina, Kotkaniemi reached a career high of 18 goals and 43 points in 22-23, but has since declined. It's officially hit rock bottom now, with him not even making the lineup every night. How would he fit in on this Canucks team? Honestly, he wouldn't. The only reason he fits is that he technically fits the Canucks' goal of adding players 25 or under right now. He'll turn 26 this summer, like I said. But as it stands, the Canucks are trying to offload forwards from their roster, not only to build assets for the future, but to give the young players on their current roster more ice time and more opportunity to see what they have in them to determine whether they are a piece of the future or they can be an asset to use in a trade that becomes a piece to help the future. While not deep in talent, the Canucks have Elias Pettersson, Marco Rossi, Philip Hedl, Teddy Bluger, David Kampf, Atu Ratu, and Max Sasson as centers on the roster. Of course, Rossi, Hedl, and Bluger are currently out with an injury, but the latter two appear close to returning as they are on the current road trip. Reinforcements down the middle are coming. That's not a real positional need for Kotkaniemi anymore. Is this not another reclamation project? The Canucks have already tried that this season with Lukas Reichel. How did that work out? Of course, Kotkaniemi has been more productive at the NHL level than Reichel has, but this situation remains the same, and underproducing forward who needs a change of scenery. And what would Kotkaniemi cost? Whatever his price tag, the Canucks are in the business of acquiring picks and futures not trading those for rostered players. Now, nothing about the move would make sense from a Canucks perspective. The player would not be a part of the team's future. He doesn't exactly fit into the Canucks' preferred age range. And they can't make the excuse of, well, at least he's producing, because he's often a healthy scratch. This move didn't make sense when they thought they were contending. It doesn't make sense now. Learn from the mistakes of trading futures for win-now veterans, aka Marcus Pettersson and Drew O'Connor, and let another team give Jesperi Kotkaniemi a chance to revitalize his career. So there you go. Even more reason not to go after someone like Kotkaniemi. I mean, I already told you guys my feelings on it, and it looks like me and Tyson are in the same boat on this. But let's get into our final topic, and that is, of course, Jim Rutherford and Patrick Allvin clarifying their rebuild comments and revealing what the rebuild plan really is. So actually, before I bring up it up, I just gotta remove some stuff because unfortunately I did not have enough room for all my notes. So I'm going to quickly bring this up. Then I'm going to bring up the others real quick. So give me one quick second here, guys. Unfortunately, StreamYard only allows you to upload 10 images at a time, and I was at 10 with all my notes. Nope. Come on, come on. And I really wish you could like click multiple and open multiple at the same time. That would be fantastic. Maybe an idea for a future addition for StreamYard. One, just two more. One more. Then we'll be right on our way to discussing this. All right, here we go. Let's get into it. How is everyone enjoying the Vancouver Canucks' organic tank? The last place team's 5-0 defeat Saturday to the Toronto Maple Leafs and 6-game losing streak is a level of ineptitude that many fans and reporters have been calling for in Canucks Nation, although that does make some of that, I can't even pronounce that word, constituency outrage over recent results somewhat perplexing. 38 games to go, the Canucks have plummeted safely into the Gavin McKenna draft lottery sweepstakes, 11 points out of a playoff spot, and at least 5 points adrift of 30 of 31 teams above them in the standings. To being outscored 15-4, man, that is bad. Oof. That makes, oh man. To the first half of their current 6-game funeral procession, that's a good one. And still looking for their first lead of 2026 and their first win. The Canucks face difficult back-to-back games against the Montreal Canadiens and Ottawa Senators starting tonight or later today. Canucks' young players are making mistakes, and some of their experienced ones haven't looked particularly engaged or at least sharp. Number one goalie Thatcher Demko is hurt again. The only cavalry coming is winger Connor Garland, whose return from injury is imminent. So the odds don't favor things suddenly getting better for them or worse, depending on your fan tribe. But the hybrid rebuild may get more combustive. Canucks President Jim Rutherford said Sunday that although plans for the hybrid haven't changed as the organization tries to support and guide its developing prospects by retaining key veterans, everything is on the trade table for the NHL team. After notifying other teams in November that Vancouver was taking offers on its free agent eligible players, Rutherford told Sportsnet that GM Patrick Allvin has been getting calls of interest on Canucks other than just their impending UFAs. This is a quote from Rutherford. I would suggest that we listen to teams when they call about anybody, Rutherford said, but that would be the same whether we're winning or losing. When someone talks about a hybrid rebuild, it means the team is not shopping every player. But prior to this, we already made the decision that we were going to go with younger players. Over the past few years, our staff has done a good job, and we have a number of good young players, whether they're in our lineup now or close to getting in our lineup, and those players are going to get a chance to play. Based on the circumstances with this team, this is the year to do it. Fact of the matter is, we're in a rebuild. 9 of 12 Canucks older than 25 and on multiple year contracts have some form of trade protection, according to Rutherford. None has approached management to say they don't want to endure the pain of the organization's pivot towards youth, which became more sharply defined with last month's trade of captain and superstar Quinn Hughes to the Minnesota Wild. People will go through their times of struggling with what's going on and times they won't, Rutherford said when asked about the uneven performance of Canuck veterans. Nobody wants to be part of losing, and certainly in losing streaks, but it's in everybody's best interest to play within the system, try to play the right way, and win some games. For anybody that totally drops off from that, it's only going to hurt the individual more, so then it will hurt the team. We have a number of first-year players in our lineup, which is what we want. It's the direction we want to go. We have to realize we're in a process now. Okay, we have to learn to play the game the right way and learn when and when not to try to do things. We're seeing those mistakes very clearly this week. We can make better choices to prevent goals, and that's what we want to see from this group. We have to learn from our mistakes. The proceeds of the Hughes trade, Rutherford said at the time, the Canucks could turn things around within a couple seasons. That belief was predicated on the idea that a full rebuild could be avoided by retaining some key veterans still young enough to be contributing once the new wave of prospects mature as NHL players. Now, that was the Jim Rutherford part. We actually are going to dive into, after this slide, we're going to dive into the Patrick Allvin part, because they each did separate interviews again. So this is the last bit of the Jim Rutherford one. Allvin later termed it a quote-unquote hybrid rebuild. The process of a rebuild would take 2 or 3 times longer if you just go with young players, Rutherford said Sunday. You have to have the right veteran players to mentor these up-and-coming players. If you do that, the rebuilding process doesn't have to be nearly as long. We happen to have some very good veteran players that can, and I believe are willing to play in a situation like this and be good mentors. Shortly after Rutherford's interview, the Canucks announced that one of their, that was talking about DPD, and then Tolopilo as well. The Canucks did not practice Sunday in Montreal. All options will be open as far as development, Rutherford said. Our plan this year, before we added Zeke Bouillon, is that our young defensemen would go up and down to the minors and get different reps in the AHL and be able to play not under the same pressure you get at the NHL level. Some of the mistakes I'm saying are very correctable, but all of those options are open. He said the same applies to the trade market. Whether you win 10 in a row or lose 10 in a row, those options should always be there, Rutherford said, and even more so now where this team is. Now we're going to get into the Allvin part now. This article was also written by Tyson Cole. And actually, do I not have another one? Give me one quick sec. I just want to add another one. Where is it? Guess not. Okay. Vancouver Canucks management provided some clarity on where the team is headed. Canucks reporter Chris Faber met with GM Patrick Allvin and discussed the team's direction at this point of the season, where they are sitting in last place in league standings. We're transitioning into a rebuild here, acquiring younger players through the draft. Allvin said, obviously the draft is really important for us. Since Jim and I got here 3 years ago, we've definitely always emphasized on getting younger. We see a couple of younger players coming up through the system, getting a chance to play now with the amount of injuries we had. Players like Tom Wielander, DPD, Lekaramaki, Kudratsev, and Mueller got games last year. Before the Christmas break, Allvin joined the panel after the first intermission on Prime. Monday Night Hockey when the Canucks faced the Flyers. He discussed the Hughes trade and said that the team planned to retool with a hybrid form. Faber asked him what he meant by that. We still want to continue to acquire young players and draft picks in order to continue to build our roster. Allvin said, we saw what we did with the Minnesota deal where we're acquiring some players that were already in the league. I think it's important for us to continue to do so in our rebuild here, but it is also important to have veteran players in our lineup to help and support the younger players, learning how to be a pro, and I think that's how you grow as a team. Now, I'm unsure if that was all. Let me give me one sec. Yeah, it was. That was all of the Patrick Allvin. Sorry, my camera's blind. All of the Allvin part of the interview. So there you go. Both Allvin and Rutherford are explaining what exactly a hybrid rebuild is. They're basically saying, and this is what I kind of gathered it was, it's basically a hybrid of rebuilding. You're not trading, you're not, going down to the studs. You're not depleting this entire, you're not trading everybody. You're not taking it down to the studs. You're doing it like a hybrid. You want to bring in some young guys. You want to keep some veterans around to help mentor said young guys and help them develop perhaps a little bit faster. And instead of like a 5 to 6 to 7 to 8 year rebuild, it's only, maybe 3, maybe 4 year rebuild. So that's what I'm gathering from Allvin and Rutherford. I seriously do not understand why they needed to use the freaking word vomit that is, hybrid rebuild, hybrid retool with a hybrid form. So I don't know why they needed to throw in, make up a new word in order to explain this. And I don't know why it took them this long to explain it. But hey, we've been wanting them to explain it and they gave that to us. So, but I still found it weird that they've not done a, statement or press release or a press conference together. They've been doing them separately. And actually someone brought up in, I believe it was Clay's stream last night, we've yet to hear from Aquilini at all. I don't think we've heard from Aquilini since Rick Tocchet got hired. I think. But, we haven't heard from Aquilini at all. So, not that I'm really surprised because it is Aqua. And I really don't think he cares. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you guys did, be sure to hit that like button. And if you want to stay up to date on all your Vancouver Canucks content, be sure to smash that subscribe button and turn on your notifications so you don't miss a single video. Also, if you guys are interested, go ahead and check out our merchandise store. Currently, we have our 1-year anniversary collection is now available, complete with a redesigned logo, both blue and green, as well as our skate version of our logo. So go ahead, check it out, thelinechangepodcast.threadless.com. We do have some sales going on, so be sure to take advantage of those. Trust me, we're going to be having more merch throughout the year, but I wanted to do this because we are rapidly approaching our 1-year anniversary. I believe it's towards the end of February, so in maybe a little over a month, we'll be celebrating 1 year of this podcast having officially, started. And also, if you guys want to have discussions such as this, feel free to join our Discord. There is a link in the description down below. It's completely free to join. So go ahead and do that if you wish. You can also find and interact with us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, Blue Sky. We're everywhere. Feel free to give us a follow on all of our social media platforms. Speaking of platforms, if you prefer an audio version of this podcast, you can find us on both Spotify and Apple Podcasts. On Spotify, feel free to give us a follow, as well as rate and review us on either platform. Also, there's a episode that you absolutely loved and couldn't get enough of. Go ahead and download your favorite episode. Really helps out the podcast, as does rating and reviewing. So if you do that, I very much appreciate it. And that's going to do it for this week's Nucks Report. Once again, drop a thought down in the comments. Drop a comment. Word vomit. Drop a thought down in the comments down below. And well, like what Dory says, just keep tanking. Just keep tanking. I'll catch you guys next time on the Nucks Report.